Today, an unconventional review of the Nikon Z9. Z9? With Red Bull Superstar snowboarder, X Games, and Olympic commentator Craig McMorris. Craig ate 6 pizzas from Carlitos during the 3 days of this trip. Along with us, also, legendary snowboarder and Burton pro Mark Solers, who ate a respectful 4 pizzas, and Burton's Sean Miskimen, who didn't eat any full pizzas on this trip to my knowledge, but he is on the cover of the King Snow magazine this issue, so he's really having a great life experience without any pizza. B-Mac and Noobs are here too. Since it's mathematically impossible to do a camera review at home, we've expensed some first-class tickets to Nikon, and we are on our way to do the most difficult job in the world, a YouTube camera review. With the arrival of the Z9, I was finally able to retire my Da Baby disposable camera, which at this point has been all around the world if you count the world as Toronto, Calgary, and Joshua Tree. Back in the backpack with you, it is time to watch Anthony Bourdain's Roadrunner. Never mind, only the film thumbnail is on the flight, not the actual movie, but they do have the No Reservations movie that has nothing to do with Bourdain, which I refused to watch because of the name theft. Anyways, thanks Air Canada. Now we're in Calgary. I'm following Noobs' backpack, which might be the largest civilian backpack ever created for market. Welcome to Calgary, the construction capital of Canada.
Hey. This one crazy. This one feel like hitting the buzzer beater or something. Championship game. Dream team. Feeling better than I ever been. Cairo in his bag, this beat is heaven sent. Back up in my element. New whip, trunk up in the front, I whip an elephant. It's all limo tent, that's how you move when you the president. You ass it off stream, treat him like my last name. Disrespecting, you just signed a check for a long day.
Just a quick built-in mic test. Something new that I've discovered here is that there's no gear shift in this vehicle. It's just buttons. There's your drive button, neutral, reverse, parking. This includes a mic test. By the way, mics are important if you want to sync your footage automatically in post with audio. Some 8K test footage. So as you can see, even in 8K footage, there is no rolling shutter. Usually when you zoom in like that, you would see a little bit of jelly, but not on the Z9. Here it is, walking in the snow. Same shot. You thought we were going somewhere else, but we're back. We're back. One of the things I like about Nikon cameras is that you can actually choose your image area. So right now I can just flip into DX mode. Now all of a sudden my 24 to 120 actually becomes, well, math's on the screen. Now I can reach my friends down here. I know you came to this review to see some bighorn sheep butts, and this video delivers. Look at the IBIS for a moment. Very happy with it. This is set to normal, so it kind of acts a little bit more like a tripod when you want it to act like a tripod. This is zoomed in all the way in DX mode. When you're moving in a vehicle like this, I usually set my IBIS, or I guess the VR, to sport mode. When I'm tracking anything erratic or moving quickly or panning, I'm always set to sport mode, whereas when I'm just kind of standing handheld, I am on normal mode. What an excessive vehicle that I was upgraded to for free. And I tried to say no, but the reason that they upgraded me is because I had no other SUVs. We've talked a lot about videos. Now to talk a little bit about photos. I don't know why I'm on AFC in this. Put your camera on AFS whenever you're in a landscape scene like this. But you can see how fast the points move and how small they are as well. If you are familiar with the Nikon Z6 or Z7 or Z6 II, Z7 II, the points are a little bit bigger. I feel like having smaller points to move a little bit faster make my confidence a little bit higher overall. And we'll see in the photo section with very high frame rates in a few minutes here how accurate the autofocus really is. And a brief replay of the clip that I just showed you. What you may have missed is on the left and right, and the top and the bottom, there's actually a little line that pops up whenever you take a photo. And this is something that you can set. You can either left, right, or can turn it off completely. But whenever you're shooting silent shutter, since this camera is electronic shutter only, it's nice to have some sort of visual confirmation you're taking photos when the camera is completely silent. So if you're turning off the audio of your shutter, it is important, I think, to have that on. So you know, I don't know, you know you're taking the photos anyways, but it's just nice to have that visual confirmation. Another thing I do is I set in all of my Nikon cameras, active D-lighting. I go crazy and I set it to extra high, both in photo and video mode. What this does is it doesn't add additional dynamic range, but it really doesn't let your highlights get out of control, and it brings up your shadows to a point, as you can see on the screen, that looks like a completely final image. And it's the JPEG only, it doesn't affect your RAW file, but it really does make an image that I'm just super happy with. The video clips you just saw, as well as these, are just all straight out of camera. So these are the straight out of camera JPEGs, large JPEGs, ISO 10,000, looking pretty good. And handheld, I wanted to see how slow I could go. So this is 1/10 of a second, no problem at all. Again, that active D lighting set to extra high, really kind of making these images look completely final. And also everything that you're going to see in this entire video that was shot on the Z9 was all from the 24 to 120 f4 lens, which I actually very much enjoy, and there will be a review of it coming out on the channel sometime soon, so make sure you're subscribed if you're not yet subscribed. And I wanted to see how far I could push this, so I went down to 1/4 of a second and the frames were still sharp, and then I went down to 1 second. So this is a handheld 1 second exposure. I'm using 3 points of stabilization, both of my hands, as well as looking through the viewfinder, so I'm holding the camera up to my face for a little bit of extra stability. But as you can see from the 100% crop, for a handheld 1 second image, pretty incredible. So just another shout out to the incredible in-body image stabilization on this, well, on all the Z series products. So this camera definitely does ProRes 4K 60, which is what I want to shoot today. But the amount of data, I basically get 30 minutes if I shoot ProRes, and I get 2 hours and 30 minutes if I shoot this 10-bit H.265. Just put that anywhere. I figured I'd take a moment here to show you kind of the bread and butter 4K 24 frames a second footage. Well, yes, this camera will eventually do 8K 60 RAW internal. I am mostly going to be using this 4K 24 frames a second, so here's some footage. Welcome to Banff Sunshine.
Welcome to Banff Sunshine. Get yourself a board caddy like Ben went.
This is all straight out of camera with the neutral color profile and also observing the 180 shutter rule.
Let's have some fun, hey?
It. Come on now, we're making it. Haven't you heard that I like it? Haven't you heard that it feels so right? Haven't you heard?
The Nikon Z9 will shoot 120 frames per second if you want it to. JPEG only 11 megapixels, but it is a great tool to have. Regularly, you can shoot 20 frames per second at full 45.7 megapixels with the RAW file as well. Here's what that sounds like. And here's what it looks like. We'll go to Craig McMorris for the Switch 5050. There it is. More than enough frames to choose from, even in a fast-moving environment, such as going down the waterfall rail. And if you look at the next trick here, and you zoom into any of the frames, as you can see, great focus on every single image at 20 frames a second. At the 120 frames a second, everything was also in focus. Just I can zoom in a little bit more to show you kind of the fine detail on a 45.7 megapixel image. All right. To wrap this up a little bit and to give my conclusions for, I guess, this review, although it does seem a little bit strange to review a pre-production camera, I will say that nothing seemed unfinished. I think that this is the production model. It just might not be on that official production firmware yet. I was so happy with this camera in every single aspect. It exceeds, I would say that on a big day, I use 50% of the functionality of this camera as far as the specs go and as far as the future specs go of the 8K60 RAW internal. But for a lot of us, I think the big update here was the autofocus. It just works very, very well. It identifies people, it identifies faces at further distances and more accurately, especially at high frame rates, that it just keeps up with that, which is amazing. If you want to see some other tests, I actually did a video a couple of weeks ago that does things like off-camera flash sync to kind of show that working, electronic shutter. People were a little bit worried that flash might not work as well as it does on a mechanical shutter. Head on over to that video if you want to see kind of all of those tests that we ran. But overall, super excited about this camera and also just kind of blown away by it in general, and even more excited for the future of the Z series now. They have amazing glass available for this camera and all other Z series products, but this was kind of the piece I think that everyone was waiting for. One other thing to touch on, I guess as just a general workflow, how fast the CF Express cards download to your computer. 75 gigabytes that we shot on this day, and downloading in about a minute, which is crazy. All right, that's all. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to subscribe, and if you're interested in seeing a few more tests, head on over to that Z9 video. I'm Taylor. See you next time.